guys, it's Katie. So we're going to talk a little bit about some basic handling stuff that you should practice with your dog for grooming and veterinary purposes. So I'm using Jerry here because he definitely has a couple of things that are going to be important for him to be able to do because of the fact that he's a reasonably heavy grooming dog. So he is going to need regular grooming maintenance to prevent matting. He potentially has the ability to grow a longer beard. So we do have to get him comfortable with some basic grooming and handling stuff. So when we're doing some of these exercises, this is more just the head part of the handling stuff that we're going to be covering. So we're going to be talking about collar restraint, chin restraint, and being able to block the vision as needed. So we want the dog comfortable with all of those things for various reasons. So if they are being restrained, we want them to be comfortable instead of panicking, because there are points in time, especially for grooming, they are being restrained. For veterinary purposes, they are being restrained. Dog getting their teeth brushed is generally going to be restrained to some degree. So we want the dog always comfortable with those things. So when we're practicing, Jerry said, we're going to be practicing with the intention that the dog is doing this as more of a trick. So if the dog takes their head out, they don't get anything. Good. Good boy. Okay. So when I do this, I don't use the same release command that I use for stays or place or thresholds. The reason being because I want something that's not going to remove them from whatever they might be doing in the first place. So grooming table, veterinary table, the closest equivalent that you would see is that it's similar to a place command. And we don't want the dog to assume that just because I'm done restraining you physically, Lyra, place, Lyra, place, doesn't mean that you need to come off of place. I'm going to let the cat out for a second because he wants to get through the door. So let's show that again. If we're starting with treats, the idea is I'm going to hold the treat in front of the dog and put my hand under their chin. As soon as they stop struggling to get the treat, good boy, I'll give reward for that. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Okay. Good job. The reason why I like to work on this outside of those situations is so that the dog can become comfortable with restraint without all of the added social pressure of dealing with strangers or people that are not going to have the amount of time necessary to get the dog comfortable, given the large demographic of dogs compared to veterinarians in the recent years. So there's been a massive increase in dogs. We want the dogs to be safe at the groomer, safe at the vet. So we'll show that again. Sit. Good boy. So just a simple chin rest. Good boy. Okay. And occasionally he might not get a treat for it because not every vet or groomer is going to have time to give lots of treats in the middle of what they're doing. So right here, as soon as he stops struggling against me, good boy. Okay. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. So the reason why we're not doing too many different things all at once is because this is the part that tends to cause the most stress for the dog up front. Anything that involves restraining their mouth, most handlers tend to restrain the face in order to remove things, It's like trying to take something out of the mouth, etc. Or the puppy is in a biting stage. And so this is also meant to increase some bite inhibition. So you'll see here, I'm just resting my hand underneath his chin. He's holding nice and still. Okay, good boy. What I'm doing with my hand is essentially an L shape, and I'm just kind of resting a thumb on one side, pointer on the other, and that way I can restrain the leash or the collar if I need to. So that way if I have to move the head around, I also have more wrist flexibility. So let me show you what that kind of looks like again. So L shape under the chin. If I need to grab the collar, I can. Good boy. And if I need to move the head, I just move fingers. And notice how he's not used to that yet. Good, good, good. Okay. So you just start moving fingers around first, and then you can start moving the face with the fingers. You're a good boy. So showing you again. Good. Nope. Good. Nope. Good. Good. Good boy. So those are the basic chin grabs. So the collar grab, you can do double collar grab, meaning both hands are grabbing the collar and restraining the face. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. If the dog is struggling, so trying to flail the head, etc., you would essentially wait for the dog to settle into the center of the hands. If you're doing a solo collar grab, same idea applies. It's just that it's a little less stabilized. Jerry, come here. Jerry's feeling a little playful this morning. Okay, sit. Jerry. Sit. Come on. Good boy. So I'll show that to you again. I'm just grabbing his collar, waiting for him to rest his chin. Jerry. Good. Good boy. And I might mess with the ears as a reward, so I'm just giving gentle pets or scritches. I can scratch the chin. Good boy. Or the chest or the neck. Good boy. But the idea is if you feel this restraint, relax. It makes it a lot safer if I need to get into the dog's face for any reason. So Jerry is a really fantastic example because of the breed. He has gunk that can go in the eyes pretty easily. So I want him comfortable with me grabbing his face as needed to clean his face. If I need to look inside of his mouth, I want him comfortable with that. So you'll notice I'm doing a modification of once my grip is on the chin. Good boy. So I might touch the top of the head. Good boy. Okay. Because the idea being when the dog loses their eyesight temporarily, they are more likely to struggle. So we want them to learn this should not cause a struggle. Good boy. Okay. And then essentially if you have to start picking at them, you work at that in the same manner. If you start struggling, this doesn't stop until you relax. So for example, put my hand on, and so I'm just going to start kind of plucking at the hair a little bit. So I'm just pinching the eyebrow hair, and notice how he's like, I don't really like that. So same idea again. And I might need collar restraint. Good. Good. So that way the dog doesn't flail as much. So the idea being as you are handling your dog, you're going to want to get used to the mechanics of how your dog functions individually. So not every dog is really confident about having their eyes messed with. So you may need the additional restraint of the collar. So in Jerry's case, he doesn't love it when I mess with his eyes, partially because he gets a lot of goop in his eye first thing in the morning. So I'm just, again, doing a modification of restraining the face, restraining the mouth. Good boy. So restraint of the mouth is a weird one for some dogs. So if I'm doing restraint of the mouth, I go back to the chin grab, Cover the nose. Good boy. Okay. So that way the dog gets comfortable with me holding the mouth. Because if I need to examine teeth or anything, or in his case, I may have to do some grooming on this part of his face. Good. Good. Good boy. Okay. So the idea is we're just building up the confidence to have the face restrained. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on him because I want him to relax. And so the main thing being, if the dog chooses to relax, good, okay, that they're on the right track. If they're not choosing to relax, you're either potentially letting them get away with struggling, which is a challenge in some cases. Some dogs flail a lot, which is why I suggest starting this practice from a young puppy and making sure that when you select your puppy, you're selecting based on your skill level as a handler for their grooming needs. So not everyone needs to be able to groom their dog. Good boy. So I'm going to mess with his face hair. Good boy. Okay. But everyone needs to be able to safely handle their dog. If the dog gets stuff in their mouth, we need to be able to open the mouth. Good boy. So we want the dog comfortable with the idea, I'm going to put my hand on your mouth. I'm going to open your mouth. There doesn't have to be anything in your mouth for that to happen. Good boy. So the other one that's good to do is I've got the collar right now, and I'm going to do ear flaps. And again, ears can be a sensitive spot for some dogs. So right here, he's kind of struggling away. So I'm going to wait till he settles. Good. Good. So I might start with the other ear. Good. Good. Okay. And so the idea is I want to be able to get my hands out of the way before I want them to remove themselves from me, if that makes sense. I don't want the dog assuming that when I put my hands on them that they can struggle and get away. And if they do get away, then I want them to understand I'm coming right back in and I'm going to keep working with you on this specific action. Willow, place. Back. Because of the fact, down. That when we're working with grooming intensive dogs, groomers have to get the job done as safely as possible for them and for the dog. If the dog's putting up a huge struggle, the chances of them needing to be muzzled increase. The chances of them being fired as a client increase. The chances of a struggle-related bite increase. So we want the dog to understand beyond the shadow of a doubt that we're not trying to hurt them, but that there is sometimes restraint in handling. Restraint doesn't always look fun, but it's necessary for the dog to function safely. So when I'm teaching any type of handling, I want the dog to learn that struggling with me doesn't pan out for their safety. It also doesn't pan out for mine. So right here, I'm just restraining his chin. Good boy. Okay. I want them comfortable with me restraining pretty much any part of their anatomy. So if I'm restraining their paw, they're allowed to look at the paw. They're not allowed to mouth. He's licking because he's not sure what I'm doing. So right here, I'm just restraining. And I'm restraining in any possible fashion that he might move his leg. So I want him to learn as soon as you stop trying to mess with your foot, I'm going to let go. Good. Good. So I let go right there because he decided, fine, I'll just lay here and relax. So those are the basics of facial handling. I do pair a little bit of front paw handling when I'm practicing facial handling. Good boy. So that way the dog gets comfortable with the whole front end where there's most likely to be the problem. The other end, the tail, the back legs, the stifles, which are the knees, the hips, those can be problematic for some dogs, particularly if they have any sensitivities, are ticklish, or for some dogs, if they haven't been groomed on a regular basis, tends to mat more in that area. For some dogs, the other common matting area is the ears. So that's why we want to get them comfortable with messing with the ears. So that way they are comfortable if we have to brush in here or if we have to demat in here. Dematting is not a fun process, so it's important that you check your dog every day. Check for mats behind the ears, check under the armpit area, check in front of the hips, check at the back of the legs, check on the inside of the legs. All of those need to be checked on a continual basis so that you don't run into matting. Matting is painful. The longer they're matted, the more painful it is for the dog, the more chance that the skin starts pulling away and into the mat a little bit. So removing mats, the longer they are on the dog, pulls the skin into the mat, makes it less safe to remove. Anyhow, that's some of your basics for the front end handling. I might do a video on the rear as well at some point. I haven't decided yet. But I just wanted to show with Jerry because he has a facial structure that needs a lot more grooming. The last thing I did forget to mention is for bearded dogs, you want to get them comfortable with grabbing the beard. Willow, place. Place. If you are grabbing the dog's beard, we want them not to struggle with it. Good. Anyhow, so that's all I had for today. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.